Welcome to our new episode with Manuel Jiménez García and his company Nagami, which is an innovative company in 3D printing, specifically for furniture. But I let you listen to Manuel himself, and I want to welcome you to our Impact Design episode. And we had the chance to talk before. I was really excited about what you do in the 3D printing space and how it's innovative, and also your background as an architect, specifically having studied in London. And so let's, can you give just a bit of a background, how you started and what Nagami is?
Sure. Thank you first, Yasmin, for the invitation. And I think it would be best if I just share my screen. So I go through a few slides and just very briefly talk while they're running. So Nagami, yeah, is a technology-based design company that is aiming to rethink product design through sustainable technology, right? So we created our own 3D printing methods, basically scaling up the most commonly used 3D printing or 3D printers, right? That have limitations on scale, durability, etc. So we started the research on making a robust process to 3D print at a much larger scale, starting first with the scale of furniture. So we use industrial robots that are then moving and positioning the extruder that we developed, so that we melt plastic and then pour it in a layer by layer fashion. And we've worked with some very highly recognized designers and architects such as Ross Lovegrove, Patrick Schumacher from Zaha Hadid Architects, and so on. So I'll show a little bit of this is the aim of the company. So as we all know, product manufacturing, and not only limited to furniture, is a very long and wasteful production chain. So you require a series of machinery connected in a production line that sometimes is actually very, very wasteful and not sustainable, and it requires a high investment to make these products, right? So to produce molds and so on. And there's a high level of standardization as a result of that. So what we try to do in Nagami is to sift this process, or better say, to compact it, so that we have a very, very short production chain, where we go really just from the design in the digital realm, in the computer, to the machine, and that machine can produce a different product every time. So it allows for a level of customization. So it's essentially the contrapoint to Henry Ford's assembly line, where you have many machines to produce a single product. We have only one machine with that allows for infinite variation of that product.
What is the most unique, feature about your 3D printing? Because there are other 3D printing companies already existing. What would you say? And then maybe by the examples you're showing us.
Yeah, I mean, we have a few features that are particular about Nagami. We actually started with air printing, which is what you see in the screen. That's when we were really in a garage for this piece for the Pompidou. So we started for the probably the most difficult one, that is printing material in the air, right? But then probably the most important milestone for us was to manage to print at the quality that a finished product deserves, and to print very fast, right? So some of the chairs that we're doing print in 3 to 4 hours, and we can also so that way basically we can put the real product in the market, right? So we make the process very efficient, so that the price tag can be low and open up a real market for 3D printing products. That's for me the most key factor, and that's what we try to emphasize in our production line, which is what you see here, so that we can print pieces very, very quickly. But at the same time, some of the features that we can achieve through this technique are unachievable with traditional manufacturing methods. So for example, color gradations, opacity gradations, right? That we achieve by mixing the pigments gradually in the extruder, and also create geometries that you couldn't create in any other context. Like for example, surfaces that fall inwards that would be impossible to demold, right? So we have a much greater formal freedom than in other kind of processes.
What is the amazing sustainability factor which impressed me when we talked about it, and how you're using even bottles, plastic bottles from the ocean, but also considering when we talked about not the ones that are toxic, because there's a lot of toxic plastic, but how are you reusing them? And that's I think an amazing factor being part of your philosophy. So if you can explain that, I would appreciate.
Yeah, so sustainability is kind of at the core of our research and our products, right? So we work with what we call an unfortunately unlimited material. Plastic, most plastic will be with us forever, and we all know what the current situation looks like. What is surprising is that actually less than 10% of the plastic we create is actually recycled. So we have a partnership with the Parley for the Oceans, which is an environmental organization. And so they create campaigns to collect plastic from the coastlines and then treat it so that it becomes a material that we can print with. And that's, for example, what we use for the face shields project. So we were printing PPE for donations for hospitals during the worst time of COVID, or the first couple of months of COVID. And those were created with recycled plastic from the ocean in a kind of higher end products, or in different kind of events. Like this is one we just finished for the British Fashion Council, which is the British Fashion Awards 2020 trophy, which is again printed with the Parley Ocean plastic. So we're kind of very conscious about that, and we're actually indeed aligning most of our efforts towards improving that system to connect better recycling and printing. And we're actually initiating a research project with the Parley for the Oceans to streamline that process. So basically we can print on-site with material that is collected and classified on-site as well, and recycled, right?
Yes.
So that's how we are steering our company, and we output beautiful products as a way to achieve that larger goal, which is definitely linked to sustainability.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's aligned with our philosophy. So we are also very excited to be discussing a furniture line that I've showed you we are working on for the hospitality sector, which is totally designed from either organic materials or recycled materials, so 100% sustainable. So what would be just to understand, to explain in a few words the process to be from us as architects, designers, because we are designing these furniture for the hospitality, and we are going to manufacture them with you, the ones that are adaptable to 3D printing. How would you describe, just in a few words, the process from our drawing board to you to get it realized?
Yeah, I think, well, probably this is kind of our workflow, but essentially what we do is to streamline that communication between the digital version of the drawing board, right, to production. So we work together with designers to create a three-dimensional model that is printable, right? So it works with the constraints of non-supported 3D printing. And we also work with them on advising or creating a range of customization possibilities that they can achieve. Yes, then immediately we just prototype it.
Yes, so, well, we are looking forward to work with you on our collection, and I think it would be really interesting to see it, how it can, you know, not be only using sustainable materials, but the process of producing it is sustainable. And there are not so many companies around, unfortunately, today, because that is another challenge. So my last question, we have a few minutes left, is what is the impact on design you want to have, you know, with all the work you're doing? Because I can see you're very passionate as much as we are about the factor of creating beautiful, products, but being very aware and accountable for sustainability, not just, you know, seeing it as an after effect or something nice to have, but with a very strong conviction that this is what we have to do to preserve our planet.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think our final goal is to take this kind of process where we print not only furniture but also architecture to a highly distributed model. So essentially, I mean, it's been very clear with COVID how distributed manufacturing and 3D printing specifically made a huge effect in how we can produce. We can shift to a complete new product immediately in a matter of seconds. So the face shields, respirator valves, everything that was happening to support health workers was an overnight shift in production, and only 3D printing could do that. And we could do it all over the world, right? Like that kind of project was extremely distributed. So people were producing just very closely to the final customer, which in this case was the hospital. Our goal is to take that as to a much higher level, right? To produce not only material that is needed to respond to a crisis, but to produce consumable, to produce architecture, to be able to